Early settlers in America cleared the woodlands of the eastern colonies to create their farms, but many of those farms were later abandoned and have since returned to forest, the original vegetation under which these soils developed. By the middle of the 19th century, pioneering farms were turning over the prairie sod of the Midwest. Farming in the Midwest continued to expand until the prairie retreated to a few preserved areas. Why could soils of the grassland better support long-term agriculture than eastern woodland soils? One difference is the high organic matter content of the prairie mollisols of the Midwest compared to the lower organic matter content of the spodosols, entosols, and inceptosols common to many of the original colonies. Rich prairie soil of the Corn Belt are high in organic matter, lending them their dark color. I'm Dr. DeBusk, and in this video I'll discuss organic matter and its benefits. Organic matter is the portion of soil that includes animal and plant remains at various stages of decay. We recognize three components of soil organic matter. First, it begins as living biota, the roots, microbes, and other organisms that occupy the soil. Second are the fragments of plant and animal remains in various stages of decay, such as fallen leaves, dead organisms, animal excreta, or crop residues. Third are the residues of active decay, organic compounds remaining in the soil that we call humus. Organic matter consists of complex carbon-containing compounds. Soil organic matter begins as detritus, like fallen leaves. Sugars, starches, cellulose, and hemicellulose, all carbohydrates, make up the bulk of plant dry matter. Proteins are long-chain structures made up of individual units called amino acids. Amino acids, unlike sugars, are rich in nitrogen and sulfur. Enzymes are protein, as is much of muscle tissue in animals. Most of the nitrogen in soil organic matter derives from protein in litter. Lignins can be 10% to 30% of plant tissue and act as a structural component of plants. Lignins glue together cellulose fibers in cell walls to make wood, coat cellulose to protect it from microbial attack, and lend rigidity to plant tissue. They are large, highly complex molecules of almost random structure. These compounds vary in how readily they can be attacked by microbes. Sugars, amino acids, and starches make ready food sources, followed in order by protein, hemicellulose, cellulose, fats, waxes, and lignin. Easily decayed materials such as starch are said to be labile, while difficult materials such as lignin are recalcitrant. Recalcitrant materials may contain lots of decay-resistant chemicals like lignin, may be low in the nitrogen needed by microbes, or may actually contain chemicals that are toxic to decay organisms. Pine needles, for instance, resist decay because they have high lignin, low nitrogen, and are high in toxins called tannins. Microbes use organic matter as a food source, and decay is the result of microbial respiration. Decay follows a series of 4 overlapping steps we can call solution, fragmentation, decay, and humification. During solution, free amino acids and sugars, as well as potassium and other water-soluble components, quickly dissolve out of litter into nearby soil water. Soil microbes rapidly exploit this food source and colonize the detritus. Soil meso and macrofauna, like tiny mites and even earthworms, now shred the material, feeding on both the organic matter and microbes inhabiting it. This fragmentation breaks through protective lignin and wax coatings and increases the surface area available to attack by bacteria and fungi during decay. During decay, labile materials break down quickly, while recalcitrant ones do so much more slowly. Complex molecules are split into smaller units and become increasingly oxidized. Carbon dioxide is produced, and nutrients like nitrogen are liberated in mineralized forms. Humification follows a different path. Chemical reactions occur in the soil in which soil nitrogen from the more labile protein reacts with lignin and other remains of decay to form new compounds that, like lignin, are large, highly complex, and resistant to attack, but are rich in nitrogen. This material is called humus, the resistant residue from decay. Humification is largely a chemical rather than biological soil process. Humus coats mineral soil particles, is very dark colored, and in the solid state appears as tiny particles of clay size. 5 major factors directly affect the amount of organic matter in the soil: vegetation, climate, soil texture, drainage, and tillage. In well-drained upland soils, prairies generate the most soil organic matter because the extensive fibrous root systems of prairie grasses generate great quantities of underground organic material. In contrast, forests generate organic matter as litter on the soil surface. The litter decays into a thin organic layer, the O layer, on the surface. Insects, worms, and other animals mix the material into the top few inches of the soil, making a shallow, humus-rich A-horizon. The needles of conifers are especially recalcitrant, so conifer forests have even less organic matter than other woods, and may have no A-horizon at all. Temperature and rainfall are key climatic factors that affect soil organic matter. The more rainfall there is, the greater the total amount of vegetation. High average temperatures also promote plant growth. However, organic matter decays more rapidly at higher temperatures, so soils in warmer climates tend to contain less organic matter than those in cooler climates. As a simple guide, organic matter is generated faster than decay when soil temperatures are below 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 degrees Celsius, and decay almost stops below 41 degrees Fahrenheit, 5 degrees Celsius. Fine-textured soils tend to have more organic matter than coarse soils such as sand. Because coarse soils are better aerated than fine-textured soils, they have a better supply of oxygen, and as a result, organic matter decay is more rapid in sandy or coarse soils. Soil drainage has the most dramatic effect on soil organic matter levels. The wetter the soil is, the less oxygen is available to fuel decay, and the more organic matter accumulates. Virgin soils lose organic matter when they begin to be farmed. Tillage stirs oxygen into the soil and raises its average temperature. Tillage also tends to break down soil aggregates, which contain organic matter protected from decay organisms. Organic matter stores nutrients used by plants in two different ways. The first method of storage results from the size of the humus particles. Like clay particles, humus particles are extremely small with a relatively large surface area. Particles of this size are called colloids. Water and nutrients cling to the large surface of the colloids. Second, organic matter stores nutrients as part of its own chemical makeup, released for plant use by decay. Humus contains most of the soil's supply of nitrogen, boron, and molybdenum, about 60% of the phosphorus, and 80% of the soil sulfur. Organic matter acts as a major reservoir of soil nutrients. In fact, in conventional tillage systems, tillage is a form of fertilization. Each time a field is tilled, a burst of biological activity consumes some humus, liberating nitrogen for plant growth. Before the use of nitrogen fertilizers, tillage was a major source of plant-available nitrogen, to the detriment of long-term soil quality. Both fresh organic matter and humus absorb water like a sponge, holding about 6 times their own weight in water. This is extremely important in naturally dry and sandy soils. In fact, the water and nutrient holding capacity of organic matter is its major benefit in sandy soils. Organic matter has high water holding capacity as measured by weight. Because it is so light, there is not much weight to a volume of organic matter, so it does not have so high a water holding capacity by volume. This can mislead individuals growing plants in containers. These growing media are often largely organic materials, and the actual weight of them in a pot can be slight. Therefore, a container might be capable of holding much less water than expected. This also applies to, say, a containerized shrub planted in a yard. The soil mass holding the roots may dry out much more quickly than the surrounding soil, causing great and unexpected water stress. Such plants must be tended with care until roots grow out of the surrounding soil. Humus not only stores nutrients, but also makes several nutrients more available for plant use. As organic matter decays, it releases mild organic acids, which dissolve soil minerals, freeing them for plant use. Soil phosphorus tends to form compounds that do not dissolve in water. These forms cannot move in the soil, nor can plant roots absorb them. Organic acids act on these compounds, making phosphorus more available for plant use. Some metallic nutrients, such as iron and zinc, react with other soil chemicals to form insoluble compounds. Certain humus molecules form a ring around the metal atom in the process called chelation. These chelates protect metal atoms from being locked in the soil, helping keep iron, zinc, and others more available to plants. Copper, on the other hand, is so tightly bound to humus that it is least available in high organic matter soils. As mentioned earlier, organic matter causes soil particles to clump together to form soil aggregates, and gummy substances produced by soil organisms bind the soil clumps. Humus particles that coat mineral particles also bind those particles together. Better aggregation improves soil tilth and permeability. The soil is easier to work, is better aerated, and absorbs water more readily. Better aerated soil also better resists compaction. This may be the most important way that heavy clay soils respond to organic matter. Soils kept supplied with organic matter have an improved structure that greatly improves water infiltration. Because water infiltrates soil high in organic matter more quickly during rainstorms, less water runs off, water that can remove soil from the field. Increasing a soil's organic matter from 1% to 3% can reduce erosion by 1/3 to 1/5. An equivalent loss of organic matter would increase erosion. Because runoff and erosion carry sediments and agricultural pollutants into streams, a loss of organic matter could actually harm the surrounding environment. Two undesirable but temporary effects can occur during decay of fresh organic matter. The first effect is that nitrogen is tied up in the bodies of microbes during the decay process. Nitrogen is immobilized and is not available for use by plants, an effect covered in more detail later in another video. A second effect is that certain plant residues are toxic to other plants. Some plants exude chemicals into their rhizospheres that inhibit the growth of other plants, and their residues will be toxic as well. The term for this toxic effect is allelopathy. The tree black walnut, Juglans nigra, is famous for this, exuding a chemical called juglone into the soil. In conclusion, the amount of organic matter in soil depends on vegetation, climate, soil texture, soil drainage, and tillage. Organic matter and humus store many soil nutrients, improve soil structure, help prevent erosion, and improve water and nutrient holding capacity.